$5.1 billion is George Lucas's net worth, according to Google.
That might be true because Disney bought Star Wars rights from him.
Like, think about this. Every action figure that's bought, maybe like a tenth of a penny of that action figure goes straight to his pocket.
Anything with Star Wars brand on it. Star Wars Legos, Star Wars lightsabers.
Yeah.
Star Wars action figures. You print a halfway passable Chewbacca on a towel and put Star Wars on it.
No, it probably...
It's visually gorgeous and incredible. You know, a lot of the stuff in the movie is real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's real planes and real G's, like Tom Cruise.
There was one villain that was worse than Barbossa, Blackbeard, and
Salazar.
And it was a female. Her name is Amber Heard.
Amber Heard.
We lived there. It was Pittsburgh. It resonates with our city.
We didn't even live in Pittsburgh.
You guys, you're freaking. I'm making a point. I'm saying it's like every other city in America. Dude, I can't take it. Welcome back to the Magical Mandatory
Midnight Special.
Woo! Happy Friday evening, everybody.
Did you miss it?
No, I didn't miss it.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna stop doing the intro.
If Joshua can't get it right, we're just gonna make
What
a
is
Monday
it?
morning
What
episodes.
What is it? It's
You tell
welcome
us.
back to the
You are
Wacky Wonderful Wiseworks podcast. I say Magical Mandatory.
Yeah, that's all right.
We're glad you're here, all you guys, gals, geeks, and goofballs. We hope your Monday morning is going swell. And I'm feeling a little bit of feist from you two.
Not feist. I'm frustrated with myself. I feel like this is getting worse. On videos, you know, I'm like, you know that guy, his name is, and I can't.
Slim Shady?
I can't say names. I just forget. And it's
Okay,
frustrating
you're getting
me.
in your head. You
I'm
keep telling
definitely
yourself,
getting
I
in my
can't
head.
do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. You can do it.
I know.
Stop freaking telling yourself. Stop this negative self-talk. And
It's
just
not
go out
negative
and do it,
self-talk.
man.
It's just, you know.
Just get out there and do it. Sweat bullets. Get through it.
Maybe I'm already sweating bullets.
You're already sweating, but you are a little wet down there. Josh is a little nervous to podcast today.
I don't know. I think I just got a headache. That's about it. Tired.
The pressure has been out of control. Stop showing. Stop
It's
now.
so wet.
Why are you showing the pits? It's Monday morning. Nobody's got time for that, dude.
Yeah, never mind. We're not.
I think my glands are swelling.
Come on. This is as
your
stimulating
glands,
as it
I'm
gets.
sweating. He's got cankles. I mean, we all.
I don't have cankles.
His ankles are swelling.
You got feet like
No. Don't roll into these ankle
you got
feet
ankles
jokes.
like
No, stop. Stop.
Manny the Mammoth.
Manny the Mammoth.
Manny the Woolly Mammoth.
No. That's incorrect. That's such a dumb reference. Why would you? Why the frick? That's not correct.
It's not correct,
I got
sir.
normal ones.
Okay.
He's got normal ones.
Is this what this podcast has become? You guys making fun of me, and then Joshua just repeats what I say? He's got normal ones. That's what he does.
That's what he does. That's life.
Okay, so many people are gone. They're like, this is not the day for the
Yeah,
Wise
we're
Works
out.
podcast.
This is not.
We're gonna get 0 views on this.
No, look, we're glad you're here. We're gonna entertain you. We're gonna be
We will
talking
try.
about Steven Spielberg and his life story. They're coming out with a film called The Fabelmans. We're gonna be getting into Steven Spielberg's early years and see kind of like, well, to give us an introduction. So when we watch the film, we can see, hey, that's correct, and that's a
Why don't we talk about
slight
that?
to this.
I
teasing.
figure you were going into it.
I was,
Okay. All right.
but I was gonna tease the episode.
Oh, the rest of the. Okay, go ahead.
And then
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about the movie making industry when it comes to making money. So we're gonna talk about the ways that movies make money, And then we're going to discuss, like, what do we think is the most effective? What do we think is probably the most profitable? And what might not be working anymore? You know what I mean? So we're going to get into that. And then we're also going to take a look at a superhero or an anti-hero called Spawn. There's a movie coming out.
You know Spawn?
You know about Spawn? I don't either. And so we're going to get to know Spawn.
I know very little.
But I have like 5 articles pulled up. So
All
we're
right,
going to get to know Spawn
We'll get to
tonight.
know Spawn.
We're going to get to know Spawn. There's a movie coming out about him. I think, sorry, didn't mean to hit you.
All right. Well, careful.
But any updates about Sober October you guys want to do? Hit on the main episode? I know
No.
Tom, Bert, Ari, Kreischer, and Joe.
And Joe.
I put 5 in there.
Wait, Tom, Bert, Ari, Kreischer. Bert's in there
Yeah,
twice.
yeah. It is so nice. I named him twice. Look, don't Joshua and his facial expressions. He's just like, gross. So their Sober October is burn 500 calories a day and 100 push-ups a day. We put ours at 30 minutes of gym time and 50 push-ups a day.
Push-ups. Yo, I've only done
These was
25
separate.
push-ups today.
So have I. So in
For
between
real?
episodes, we're going to get our next 25 in.
I've done all of my stuffs.
All of your stuffs.
Yep.
I have to meditate this evening. And I have to do 25 push-ups.
Why'd you?
I see
meditate.
I see flyaways in my
Oh,
face,
okay.
and I'm getting them away from me,
Got
putting
you.
them on Joshua. Well, I wasn't putting them on you. I was brushing them to the side, but I should have brushed them towards you. Why are we just bull crapping around at this point?
You're the one who's going
Let's
on
get the
and
intro
on.
going.
All right, let's talk about some Steven Spielberg.
Ooh,
That's a
beautiful
close
picture.
pick.
That's a beautiful picture.
Kind of looks like Gandhi there.
Kind of. So we're going to talk about Steven Spielberg, his early years, some of the work that he did. So I want to flip through a couple pictures,
Okay.
to help us get a visualization before we get into some of his information. So this is the movie that he's coming out with in about a year,
Yeah.
next year. No, this year. It's coming out soon.
For real?
Yeah, I think it's coming
November?
out soon. The Fablemans?
November.
I think it's November. So it's roughly based on Steven Spielberg's life, you know, getting into his career, his early days of finding his love for film. You know what I mean?
Do you know, is it going to be on anything or is it just going straight to theaters?
I'm assuming it's going straight to theaters. Typically, his stuff does. I don't know anything that goes to a streaming platform.
I mean, West
but,
Side Story went to a platform.
True.
Maybe it will. We'll see. But this is him when he was younger. First off, that forehead, though.
That forehead goes all the way up.
Yeah.
You got that Frankenstein forehead.
Look at that hairline.
If he had 2 bolts coming out of the side of his I wouldn't. All right, well, I'm not going to keep making fun of the
He would have
kid.
been well casted.
Yeah.
Well casted, a little Frankenstein kid.
Somebody stretched that image. They had to. That ain't his real forehead.
That's a pretty
No,
rough.
that's probably his
That's a
fault.
pretty rough
Haircut.
haircut as well.
Yeah, the haircut doesn't help.
Mm-hmm. And then this is
Mega
when,
mind.
this is when he was getting into some productions. And we'll talk about these different periods of time.
Woo.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. Jaws.
Jaws.
Now, Jaws played a bigger role in his career than I even realized.
Yeah.
Jaws played a really big role in his career. And you got him with George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the pictures I have. This is him today. So, with that in mind, I'm going to switch over. Let's get into some of the details of Steven's life. First off, he was born in Ohio, December 1946. He's older than my pa.
Why? There's so many people that came out of Ohio. Like, I feel like the entertainment industry is saturated with those people from Ohio.
Ohioans?
Have you heard of people from Ohio?
Yeah, Dave Chappelle,
From Ohio.
the 21 Pilots,
Yeah, there's a lot of people from Ohio for some reason.
Tony Hinchcliffe.
People live in Ohio, I guess.
You don't hear anybody from, like,
People live
Kansas?
in Ohio, I
No,
guess.
you don't hear anybody from Kansas getting
no, you're right.
into the entertainment
Yeah, it
industry.
usually is Ohio.
Oh, gosh.
Gas.
Gosh.
Oh, gas.
Look, Steven Spielberg. So, he was the oldest of 4 children, and I believe he only had sisters. His father, Arnold, was an electrical engineer, okay? And then his mother, Leah, she was a concert pianist. and it appears that she was doted upon him. She's very encouraging of Steven's passions, Steven's affairs. You know, his hobbies, his trinkets, things of that nature. They moved around a lot. I believe they ended up in, what was it, California? San Diego, California? Maybe it's down here. I briefly read this earlier. However,
it looked like it said Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley, did it?
Yeah.
I see Silicon Valley right there. Emerging bedroom communities of what would be known as Silicon Valley.
Yes,
near
yes.
San Jose,
San
California.
Jose, not San Diego, San Jose, California. All right, so that's kind of where they moved around a good bit, and he lived in like New Jersey, he lived in Phoenix, different places. What? I know. Hocus
We're not
Pocus.
advertising Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, this is an article. I can't help it. They're gonna keep pushing us with little pop-ups. So learning the camera. That's what the name of this section of the article is. This is actually really interesting because Steven, I think when he was, so let's see, 1952, he saw his first film in theater, The Greatest Show on Earth, which was a 1952 circus epic.
Ooh.
And
Can I give a little information? It might be in here, might not be, but the Escape to Nowhere, a 40-minute about war. I actually watched a small, it was behind the scenes, I'm pretty sure for E.T., but it was kind of going into Steven's life, and it showed me black and white. It was like black and white footage of him making this and stuff.
That's very cool.
He did a really cool, I'm pretty sure we talked about it on this podcast before, where he would take small planks of wood, fill it with dirt on one end, and then they would step on it, and it looked like,
it was a makeshift explosion.
Yeah, it was sick.
So what Josh was referring to is when Steven was 13 years old, he, between 12 and 13, he created a film called Escape to Nowhere that was 40 minutes long. And it was a war film. And then his next film was a little bit more ambitious. It was a full feature length sci-fi movie called Firelight, and it was 140 minutes long. This is teens.
Yeah.
So he was 13 with Escape to Nowhere, and then 3 years later, so what? That's 16? He does a 140-minute film.
I wonder what he read as a child.
To get into
like
film?
what books and
Like
stuff?
what book? Because he's clearly inspired by like a lot of sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
I'd
And
be
war
curious to see
What year was he born?
What
again?
he read.
What year was he born?
I think 46.
46. So he was a teen in like...
Yep, 1946. So
It'd be a lot of real good sci-fi to read.
he when he came out with Escape to Nowhere, our dad was being born that year. So yes.
He's getting up there in age.
Anyways, so he was pretty early. It made me think, when I was listening to this, it made me think a lot about, I'm not comparing myself to Steven Spielberg. I would never dare.
No.
But there is something to, like, people who are interested in film usually find it really young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're usually, like, before they hit 10, are screwing around with cameras. A lot of times.
Yeah.
Somewhere
agree.
somewhere in between, like, 8 and 15, the great filmmakers are messing with cameras. So Peter Jackson did. You know what I mean? It's what I believe. I don't know if, who's the guy who did Pulp Fiction? I'm blanking on his name. Mr. I can't remember his name. What is his name, Joshua?
I've got it.
You're not gonna say?
No, I want Josh to figure it out.
He did Django.
I got it. Can you figure it out?
No.
I got it. All I had to do was Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
So Quentin Tarantino, I believe he said on the Joe Rogan podcast that his first experience with movie making wasn't him making movies, was rather him working in a movie store.
Like a Blockbuster. No, but yeah. Similar, but it was to buy movies, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he did, kind of like on Stranger Things, the most recent season where you got freaking...
Yeah, they were working in a Blockbuster.
Was it a Blockbuster?
It was
How old
essentially
is
a Blockbuster.
Blockbuster?
Yeah.
It was like a family movie or something.
but it was a rental place.
Yeah.
Movie rentals.
Movie rentals. That aside, Steven Spielberg got started super young, and what I'm surprised by that 140-minute film
When he was
And
that's crazy.
He likes movies about, it's usually kids that have like passion for something as kids.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before that he just
Super 8.
he really loves those movies about kids, because kids see the world in such a different way and experience things in a different way. I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to recapture something from his childhood or trying to share something from his childhood.
Yeah.
That's actually that I think it's probably sharing something, because he was bright-eyed and whimsical and had these dreams in his mind. As honestly, I think the big thing I think in the film that's coming out that we're going to notice is the support and the role that was played by his mom in his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His mom, Leah. So as Steven got older, he graduated high school, but he didn't do so well in high school.
Really?
He didn't do so well.
Yeah, me neither.
And so he wanted to go to, I think, a film class or a film institute. He wanted to go to UCLA. All right.
Okay.
And that stands for University of South California. He couldn't get in. So he went to California State College. That's basically a
Community college.
kind of a community college. They had a bachelor's option for him. He got a bachelor's in writing, I believe. Let's see. A BA in English. No, not writing. English.
Okay.
And from there, he continued to make films, though, and prepared a short subject. Amblin? Is that how you say that? Amblin, you think? Is that?
Yeah, Amblin.
So that was the name of a short he created. Now, Amblin kind of launched him in a big way.
Yeah.
Because Amblin, he submitted to some festivals. It says the Venice Film Festival, and got him a 7-year contract at studios.
Okay.
Now, this is the traditional route.
Right.
This is what we've always talked about, how like
Film
today
festivals?
this doesn't work.
Right.
This
Yeah,
absolutely
back in the day you could do something like this.
This absolutely doesn't work anymore.
I mean, but the field is so saturated now that it's hard to go into a traditional film festival.
The field is so saturated that even the bad directors have gotten big Hollywood gigs.
That's true.
I mean, how many directors are there working on stuff right now? Working on Marvel stuff,
Thousands.
working on Disney stuff, working on, Rings of Power or Game of Thrones or
The
Star
next
Wars.
Kevin Hart film.
Anything. Kevin Hart. There's so many directors now. It's like you can't just have the top tier people. And you never see the top tier people working on something like The Man from Toronto. You never see a Denis Villeneuve, or
he's never
Steven
gonna do-
Spielberg working on The Man from Toronto.
Yeah,
You
or
know?
the other guys,
Or
with
the
Will
other
Ferrell.
guys, yeah. We kind of reserve the big names for good stuff,
Like Warhorse,
like Warhorse. Yeah,
Saving Private Ryan, or Hook.
It's there's a lot of directors nowadays.
Absolutely. I wouldn't say there's too many, because there's a lot of stories out there to be told.
I wouldn't say there's too many. I'd say there's too many bad ones in Hollywood.
Yeah, no, the ones that have all the money are being hired. Well, they're hiring the bad directors, and they're ignoring these people. I honestly think studios at this point, in some ways, kind of enjoy the fact that everyone's trying, like begging, working their butts off to get somewhere, to get their stamp of approval,
to get their
to get their crumbs
cheese
on the floor. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know. I think the market is so saturated that you have the talent, the actual talented people. They're so few and far between that they're being cherry picked from where they are, and then the other people who have done just good enough to get into a similar position stay just good enough to be in that position.
Yeah.
You think?
Right? And then those people get elevated into being directors, right? Those people who are just good enough to be in a position where they're at without doing more. And And so they become directors, and they're subpar directors. So they were just good enough to do what they were doing, and then you get elevated to be a director, and you're not good enough. You don't have the talent, you don't have the creativity, so you just make pretty, mid content.
Reboots and prequels.
Yeah. That's just my theory.
Spielberg began his career as a professional by directing several episodes for television programs that were being shot at Universal. First among these was the pilot episode of Rod Serling, Night's Gallery, which starred the legendary Hollywood star Joan Crawford.
Nice.
So he got his foot in the door through this short film and Ambulance. And he was working at Universal for quite a while, actually. Then and he actually made some money.
Let's fast forward a little bit.
Let's fast forward. I want to get to the part where it says directing what he wanted. So
Jaws right there.
Hold on. So when he came up with the Sugarland Express, a drama about a gritty and determined, if somewhat dim, woman played by Goldie Hawn, who I'm confused by this. Is this saying that he came up with this story and he directed it? Her husband into...
I'm guessing that's what this means.
A specular car case. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it looks like his first film that he came out with.
It was a critical success commercial failure.
Okay,
So
there you go.
There's a lot of stuff nowadays. Critical success, commercial failure.
Yeah, so it means the critics were like, this is awesome.
This is
but
amazing.
Nobody wanted to watch it.
Except back then it was probably true. Probably was... It's like, oh yeah, no, this is Hollywood. This is such a good movie. But for some reason, it was a commercial failure. Maybe it could come down to marketing.
Yeah. Nonetheless, it led to the breakthrough film of Steven Spielberg's career, the spectacularly successful Jaws of 1974.
Jaws is such a good.
All right. Here's some crazy stats about Jaws. The Jaws, everyone was getting pissed at Steven because with all of the problems of filming on the water and trying to film with a small crew and then needing to get more crew for what's required for it, all of the animatronics, that's a big reason why they hid Jaws so much, is because they didn't have the budget to show him too much. You know what I mean?
And I don't think they had more than, one or two props for Jaws himself, the shark.
Mm-hmm. But people were getting pissed, especially at the studios that were funding this project, because he was quickly exceeding his budget. And they ended up spending $3.5 million on Jaws.
Only?
This is one of the best.
Well, no, I think that was the initial budget. He spent more than that.
This is one of the best monster movies, partly because it's scary even when you're on land.
Yeah.
Somehow, even when the characters aren't doing anything, it's still scary knowing there's a shark out there. And the fact that basically everything happens during the daytime.
Yeah.
It's like, how is this such a good movie, such a scary movie, when most of the movie takes place during the day?
I mean,
that's true.
How many sequels from Jaws?
Yeah.
And 7, I think. Quite a few.
The second one was
and every single shark film.
And then the rest of them were just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Jaws inspired Shark Week.
Yeah.
Shark Week.
You know what the prop for Jaws' name was? It wasn't animatronic.
Bruce.
It was Bruce.
Yep.
That's
what Bruce from
That's what Pixar did.
Yeah.
Pixar.
Isn't that fun?
No.
That is fun.
I love it.
So after they finished the film, Spielberg became Hollywood's anointed director of the moment when the film grossed over $60 million in the first month. For a low budget film, technically low budget, $3 million is not that much. Well, let's just round it up to 4. $60 million in the first month. Those are some crazy numbers.
That's impressive.
Think about how much money Jaws has made over
the years,
the whole time.
Yeah. And I mean,
it probably doesn't make a lot of money now.
I love this. It says he embarked on a film whose subject had obsessed him since childhood. So he made his money. He got one of the biggest, most successful movies of all time out. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to do the one I want to do, which is Close Encounters. I'm doing an alien movie.
I don't.
That came right after Jaws.
I don't want to harp on this, and I know it's not always right, but what is Spielberg's net worth? I'm just curious of all his
right,
films.
let's Google
because
this.
that's gotta be big.
It's got to be high.
E.T., all his newer stuff. It's gotta be up there.
Net.
$4 billion. It says right there.
Okay, Google says $4 billion US. Do you have a website that gives you more accurate numbers?
No, I was looking at
That's
something else.
good enough.
Good enough.
I mean, no, that's good enough estimate. That can't be right.
I mean, he's almost right there with Donald Trump. Donald Trump was saying, I have a $7 billion net worth. Steven's right behind him.
Probably.
But after all that money he had to spend on his campaign, probably not as much.
I was looking up something completely different. It doesn't have any bearing. It didn't answer my question.
That's all right. So, yeah, you were saying Close Encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting.
What did you guys think of Close Encounters? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Hold
Hold on, hold on. Hold on, Wyatt. Stop the breathing.
I'm gonna fart.
No, stop that. I literally am planning on watching it like either this weekend or the following weekend.
All right.
It's been in my brain for a while.
It's okay.
I'm gonna watch Close Encounters. I've been looking forward to it.
It's not, and I know I'm probably gonna offend some people here. It's not the best Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as tantalizing now as it was back then. It was my second watch that it really took to get me to understand the movie.
So you're going to be watching it 2 times this weekend, not once.
Yeah,
You're going to watch it 2 times.
Maybe I'll watch it twice.
You'll get it. I watched it the first time when I was really young. My mom was like, "Have you guys ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?" And 4-year-old me is like, "No, what's that?" She's like, "Oh, it's like about aliens." and
What's
stuff."
the rating, Mom? It's
She
PG-13.
had no
Okay,
idea.
we're
She had
gonna
no
definitely want to
idea,
watch
so
it.
she just turned it on.
You just turned it on.
I don't know.
So that really launches him into the career where he's in the public eye more so, where we've seen him, we've seen all of his famous work before. Don't push my foot away.
It keeps kicking my knee.
Your knee keeps kicking my foot.
Y'all, his knee is like out here underneath the table, right? With them long giraffe knees.
Joshua's
them knobbly boys, they're out here.
It's the problem is it's not just that you have longer knees. You slouch your lower back and you grab the microphone and put it on your belly and you just. If I started doing this, get back over here, boy. Get back in here. Get back in here. Steven Spielberg started directing movies like Indiana Jones, E.T., Jurassic Park, all the way through the 90s. And then we got Get In Here.
Indiana Jones, arguably his best trilogy.
Trilogy?
Maybe trilogy.
I
don't
didn't care
think
for the second one.
Right.
The third one was
but-
better than I think. The first, third, and then the second. Second was not good.
But it's still it's better than a lot of other stuff that's come out.
So when we think about Steven Spielberg's life, his early years, right, before he started creating all the stuff that we know, what are some of the things you're going to be looking for in The Fabelmans? All right, let me show that little boy.
I don't know. I don't have any expectations, but if you go back and watch our reaction to the trailer, it got me a little emotional.
It did. It made you cry. You cried on the studio channel.
Was so emotional.
Yeah.
Some just hit that emotion button.
Yeah, it just presses it.
It was quick too, because one moment Josh is like, haha, Jewish joke. Next minute,
Oh yeah.
he goes, haha, Jewish.
I forgot about that.
Josh was just like, the Jews.
Haha, the Jews.
Oh.
That's not quite what I.
Oh.
Close.
And then he ends the video crying. The thing I'm going to be looking forward to the most in The Fabelmans, if it captures it, which I think it will, is I want to see that kind of what they got for this kid. He's got them bright eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally the bright eyes. It's the dreamer. It's the I have an idea, and what does my mom think? What does my sisters? What does my dad think?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's called The Fableman.
Yeah, we did a reaction.
I want to look up when it's coming out.
And so I want to see what Josh was saying. He's getting into film, all of his cool ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How does he make an explosion? We saw in the trailer, how does he make a train crash? You know what I mean? And it showed it to us. I mean,
November 11th.
it's awesome. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. I'm looking forward to seeing like the relationship like with school that was mentioned. That kind of stuff.
He did that. I think Super 8 was a big homage to his
Huge homage.
train crash thing. Because they have a big, massive train crash in the beginning of the movie. It's so close, you can't see anything. There's tons of stuff happening. Trains going everywhere. You see it from a distance the next day, all the trains. And then the making like a train model and blowing it up, right? There's a lot in the movie about the train.
I feel like people slept on Super 8 a little bit.
I think so. Well, no, it won awards and stuff.
Yeah, it was popular when it
Was it?
Yeah, it won awards.
Why do we not talk about Super 8 no more?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's been out for a while.
Been out for a minute.
Now, he was the producer of Super 8.
Well, I mean, you talked about Hook or anything.
He was the producer of Super 8.
It's been out for a while.
I mean, Hook was definitely better than Saving Private Ryan. If we were gonna,
We talked about Hook more than Super 8.
Yeah.
Who was the director of that? Star Trek guy.
Was that
Cloverfield
Abrams?
Lane. Yeah, Abrams directed Super 8.
Really?
Yep,
Wow.
and Spielberg produced it. And that's the kind of like when I was seeing Abrams' work first, and I was like, maybe there's something to this boy.
Yeah.
Abrams.
And then I saw,
At the beginning,
I
he
saw
was
Star
doing
Trek,
great.
and I was like, this is pretty good. And then I saw the first Star Wars, and I'm like, huh. And then, Star Wars declined, and now I don't think I've enjoyed much of any of his stuff.
I've gone
lately.
back and looked at a lot of what he's done, and anything that's involved in a previously established kind of universe or lore,
Yeah.
it's sort of just kind of doing the same thing that was done better by other people
Yeah.
and making it more today,
Making like the wow factor.
Right.
With today's abilities with technology and visual storytelling. That's Steven Spielberg for the most part.
what's our next segment?
I wanted to say thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia, for being a Patreon supporter. We really appreciate it. We love you. And if you do want to be a Patreon supporter, you can go to the link in this podcast's description and select whatever tier best fits your content needs. We have, get early access, some exclusive access, and it's a good time. We only have a couple people over there, so you'll definitely get a shout out just like this if you join the Patreon, and your name is in the credits at the end of every single episode as well. So
Yeah.
There's movie commentaries on there.
there is done by these two fools.
I'd like to do more.
Not during Sober October.
Why not?
Because
we can.
you're gonna be like this all month.
No.
How? Well, I'm more curious about Joshua.
I am only like this today because I have a headache.
Okay, then I want to ask Joshua then. How long is it gonna take you to start acting normal?
I
look like you're about to
I think
cry.
you're just a drama queen. You just like the attention.
No.
Chill.
No, we'll do comedy. Maybe we can do it on Saturday instead of brewing beer.
No.
See, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you're like this once in a million Saturday that you're here and we're here. We could be doing a movie commentary, the first one with the three of us, Lost in Space.
We do commentary every single week.
Or Close Encounters.
I'd rather do something together that's not the same thing we always do.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
We'll see.
yeah,
I think
I
we'll
guess.
have fun. With the plan that I've proposed, it'll be fun.
sure, fine. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia. We appreciate it. We love you. Thinking about Spielberg got me thinking about something else, and that was kind of the industry with money. And it's interesting you brought up his net worth, because I wanted to talk about the different ways that movies make money, okay? There's a couple like broad categories for how movies make money, and I want to talk about specifically like what do you think works the best? What do you think doesn't work anymore? And maybe it's enlightening, maybe it'll prompt thought,
VHS. I don't think works anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Actually, there's collector VHS.
Yeah, there's clay, but the movie's not making money anymore.
So it looks like I found this online. It was a good breakdown. 5 categories. You got domestic and foreign box office revenues, which is split between theaters and movie distributors. You got product placement. So a film like E.T. had Reese's as product placement,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
and they got some money from Reese's Pieces. You got broadcast, cable, and streaming, which is laughable that they're in the same category, but they are kind of in the same thing, you know. Streaming is what pays all the money these days. Broadcast and that, it's dying. It doesn't pay a lot, but nevertheless, you know, licensing the film.
I don't know. There's a lot of old
platforms.
people that are still watching cable and broadcast.
Yeah, there
Very.
are.
It's surprising when I go to like my grandparents' house and you walk in, they're watching a movie and you're like, oh yeah, and then you get 5 minutes worth of ads.
Yeah. No,
And
every 10 minutes.
Every
you
10
have
minutes, and you're just
5
like,
minutes of commercials.
Yeah, but the numbers compared to like a YouTube video doesn't come close.
oh no,
Don't
come
not
close.
at all. But
You
that's
might-
the like only reason broadcast is
You might
barely
have
surviving.
400
Yeah.
people. You might have 200 to 400 people watching a film when it's being broadcast. You know what I mean?
Up, yeah, or up to like 1,000. That's probably it.
I feel like broadcast and cable is probably bigger in other countries where
Maybe.
they're still using a lot of TV and TV show stuff.
True. But streaming is really where the big licensing money, you know, we're talking HBO, we're talking Netflix. Disney Plus only puts out their own stuff, so it's not so much they're licensing anything.
Yeah.
But the next one is DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, sales.
Probably is not a lot anymore either. You can buy stuff digitally from like Amazon. You can rent something or buy it, or from YouTube, but probably not. There's not DVD much purchases anymore. Maybe a few.
You go to Walmart or Target, they still print them like crazy.
Yeah.
I just don't see many people buying them.
Yeah, I don't either.
And then you got merchandise, which, you know, was really made popular by George Lucas, if we're being really honest. Just that
Disney.
huge Disney. I don't know, because George Lucas really changed the market when it came to Star Wars and merchandising for Star Wars. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I think Star
before-
Wars merch was much bigger than Disney.
It was big, but you watch Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You go to Disney World and buy a stuffed animal of a dwarf or a plate that has the dwarfs on it. Back in the day,
That was
That-
like only the 70s or 80s. It was around the same time. But you're thinking in today's standards of Disney merchandise. They weren't doing that back in the day. I think the toys, the serious toys.
can we Google this? I'm just
We're
curious.
coming
'cause
out-
That'll answer our question. Just say
Maybe. I don't know.
who's
what to
the
really
biggest.
search.
Just who started the
merchandising.
Film kicked off, maybe?
I don't even know
No.
how you would phrase
That's
it.
what I'm wondering.
No, put
Kicked
it-
off
What
toys and merch.
company
films.
started?
Oh, Mr. McGorium's Wonder Emporium.
In 2007.
First major motion
Picture with a successful toy. Maybe this was the first one.
What is this, Cora?
Merchandise tie-in. The biggest
Dr. Doolittle.
merchant. Okay, you understand incorrectly. The biggest moment in movie merchandising is Star Wars.
That's someone commenting.
Usually,
Go
people
up.
that write in forums are half correct. Okay.
Scroll up. What does it say? Dr. Doolittle.
Dr. Doolittle, 1968, was a failure, and studios did not do tie-ins for whatever,
including the Star Wars.
I'm telling you, Star
I guess
Wars.
what was it,
Someone
Star
says
Wars?
Godfather.
James Bond.
Oh wait, that's
That
Goldfinger.
that-
I read Godfather.
That
It's
Aston
Goldfinger.
Martin.
Yeah.
True. So maybe James Bond some stuff.
But I don't think James Bond, Aston Martin, Hot Wheels
Back to this.
were being bought like
Han Solo
like
action
Han
figures.
Solo action figures,
Luke
or Darth
Skywalker.
Vader action figures,
No.
or blasters,
the
or
Millennium Falcon.
Chewbacca stuffed animals.
Them
or-
classic Star Wars tees that people were wearing to the premieres. Would you stop playing footsie with me? You're out of your dang mind playing footsies with me in the middle of a recording.
What?
Trying to
Doesn't
hold
play
hands
footsie.
with your toes.
Hold a hand with my toes. I think Star Wars. It's got to be Star Wars. Nobody really did anything till Star Wars. That's why I say George Lucas was always a bigger entrepreneur businessman than he was a filmmaker. That's why he only has a couple films on his directing, and then he's invested a ton into other stuff, and he's invested all of his effort. He has Skywalker Ranch. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's built his life around a brand to sell. He's a creative, but he's more so a businessman.
Yeah, he really...
George Lucas has got a lot.
He really is. He's kind of like... it's like retroactively changing the names of the movies. Originally, it was Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Empire Strikes Back. And Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, now it's Star Wars.
And then retroactively, even before the other movies came out, right? It was Star Wars Episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, what? Why? Why is it Episode 4? I thought it was just... Why is it Episode 4 A New Hope? I thought it was just Star Wars.
I know.
Right.
But we changed it. Well, he changed it. $5.1 billion is George Lucas's net worth, according to Google. But we've actually learned that's usually...
lot. That's probably
usually
Disney.
a bit lower.
Well, no, that might be true because Disney bought Star Wars rights from him. So
Yeah.
that had to be the majority of his money.
For sure. But think about all of the years he was making money outside of that. Like, think about this. Every action figure that's bought, maybe like a tenth of a penny of that action figure goes straight to his pocket.
Anything with Star Wars brand on it. Star Wars Legos, Star Wars lightsabers.
Yeah.
Star Wars action figures, Star Wars plushies, stuffed animals.
Well, let's just
Star
say
Wars
10 cents.
Toothbrushes.
10 cents of every $20 that's made for Star Wars goes right into his pocket. That's a big number.
You print a halfway passable Chewbacca on a towel and put Star Wars on it.
No, it probably
All
not
of
a
a sudden.
tenth, but probably like a cent or or like a tenth of a cent.
Mm-hmm.
But
Maybe.
yeah,
I don't know, dude. You remember our cousin, Devin? When we were little, we'd go over to his house. We'd go in his bedroom. Every single Star Wars action figure imaginable. Every single toy lightsaber. He had Darth Maul's, the double-sided. You flip it around and psh, you know?
We had that.
What was the other? What was the monster that he had a big toy of? What is it?
I don't know.
called?
I never met Devin. I was never in his room. You're like, yo, Wyatt, what was
It's the end of Star Wars. The beginning of Star Wars.
Is this
Yes, it's a call forward. No, I'd not. Never mind. Just save it.
the Chewbacca?
Yeah, he had plenty of Chewbaccas. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I'm just saying there was so much money to be made with Star Wars and the merch. We're stuck on merch, but merch is definitely
I think
if you're smart,
merch is if you're doing a movie like Star Wars, merch is your biggest thing.
I would be.
I feel like because like Ghostbusters merch too. Ghostbusters was making so much money off of kids. I've seen Ghostbusters. I wouldn't call it a kid-friendly movie,
But
and
kids
yet
of the 80s watched
kids of
it.
the '80s were like, "Oh yeah, that was my favorite movie when I was 8."
I heard
What?
Bill and Ted made a lot of stuff too.
Bill and Ted probably made a ton of stuff.
I don't
Anything,
even know Bill and
anything
Ted.
sci-fi, fiction, horror, as long as it wasn't like drama. I don't think people were making like action figures and merchandise for, what is it? Call of the Wind. What is that movie?
You're talking about
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. I was about to
You
say
remembered something, Joshua.
There it is.
You remembered something. You have your mojo
I was about
back.
to say the name of the wind.
I have
but
a half
that's
a mo.
Patrick Rothfuss book.
Yeah, no one's selling that Gone with the Wind merch.
Yeah, you don't ever see any of that. Where are the action figures?
Just the women with the fat dresses. Boof.
but like aliens,
Beans and never mind, I can't say that.
predators.
This is actually a thought that I had today when I was prepping for this. I was thinking like, if filmmakers and storytellers are smart, they even just do a little sample. You only make a story, or you try to build a story that's whimsical and magical and interesting enough that like the toys would be badass. You know what I mean? so that you can sell that later on, or you can do cool art that people want to buy because it looks so awesome.
I mean, it's like YouTuber today. It's like Mr. Beast, making his, his merch,
his candy
chocolate,
bar,
his
his burger, which I hear is terrible.
You hear it's terrible?
I hear the
fast
Mr.
food.
Beast burger is McRib level bad.
It's fast food.
No, like
Some people love that McRib though.
the McRib is gross.
The McRib has
The
something to it.
McRib is famously bad.
Yeah,
Well,
people love it.
I actually looked it up because I was just curious. If you get on DoorDash, there's a location here in Virginia Beach. We could get it.
Y'all
Order it
can
up,
get
dude. Order it up.
I ain't eating it.
Order us up 3 beef burgers, boy.
3 beef burgers. Yeah. Plus books. Star Wars sold a ton of books.
But that's extra work. That's more story.
It is more story.
You know what I mean? We're talking about byproduct. Just like we come up with a cool story. Now, the factory
it out.
workers that create little chunks of plastic get to work. Here's
But
your
I
model.
think, as far as today goes, we're seeing that paradigm shift. I guess we've seen the paradigm shift into streaming. We've lived through it. Been there, done that, right?
Well, we amongst it.
I predicted it.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Streaming?
I predicted it.
No.
You didn't predict streaming.
Not on here and not to you. I predicted the
It's not impressive unless you predicted it back when Netflix was shipping people DVDs.
I predicted it to John Mark when we were living in Pennsylvania. So this was years ago.
Yes, but Netflix was already streaming at that point.
Netflix was streaming.
And you said everyone else is gonna.
It was just Netflix. No, I told John Mark, I said, in the future, I said, I don't think theaters will be obsolete. But I said, but movies will be being released directly to streaming platforms. And he's like, that doesn't make sense. How would that even work? He and a big part of his argument was movie theaters are never going to be obsolete. People are always going to want it. And I said, I agree, but they will be. And I said, I don't know. I said, maybe they're going to charge you $24.99 to watch it for a day and a half. And I was right. I didn't know
Exactly what Disney Plus is doing.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that the pandemic would come.
I was about to say you didn't know what was going to happen, but there was a little chink in the armor.
Before
5-letter word.
Before like the pandemic, Disney had planned out Disney Plus. They had it. They were working on it.
Now, here's the thing. Back when it was just Hulu, Netflix, and HBO, I think before HBO Max, it was like HBO Go, right? On the podcast at the very beginning, me and Joshua predicted what Disney Plus might look like.
Well,
At the beginning of the podcast, like episode 4 of the podcast, back in 2019.
we had a cheat thing, not really cheat.
They
but
hadn't announced nothing. It was still 2 years away, I think. Or a year and a half.
That's not true.
A year and a half before they launched.
So we had a conversation about it when I was working at WBTV a year before they even started releasing anything about it. They announced, hey, in a year, we're going to come out with a Disney-only streaming service. When I was working at WBTV.
About to say, get out.
We did a story on it. And we had a conversation about that. That was
Yes.
right around when we were recording Dying of the Leaves.
Okay.
And then, yes, we started the podcast and we had an episode about it, but before they started.
So streaming in general now has a few avenues. It's not just licensing like this says. It's also just pay for the film through streaming. That's Amazon's. That's like Amazon's majority. They're the new Blockbuster. You rent from Amazon digitally.
You can rent from anywhere. I don't know if you can rent from.
You
HBO.
can
rent basically any movie you want to from YouTube for the same rental prices you get from anywhere else.
kind of YouTube and Amazon.
$4. You can rent in HD. I mean, that's
YouTube
for
and
like 48
Amazon.
hours or something, or 24 hours. That's a long time to rent a movie. You know, you would rent a movie from Blockbuster or Redbox for a day.
It's better too because
For a
you know
dollar.
those people that wouldn't return the red box and then it would be out forever in that machine.
There was
you had to go to multiple machines to find the one movie because nobody would bring it
Luckily,
back.
At this place, there was a Dollar General across the road and a Buy Low on the other side, and there's a red box at each. So if this one don't have it, you go check the other one. There was that one time we got this one movie, and someone had printed like a piece of paper, cut a circle, and put it on top of the disc. And for some reason, the machine, it got past the machine, and it's like, yeah, this is the movie, but it was just a disc of like, I don't know, like an outdated game or something. They stole the DVD, and they faked the disc inside the red box case, and it got through because we rented it, and we're like, this isn't the movie.
Man, y'all remember those little red box cases? They were so thin and awesome. And you would crack them open, smell them.
Smell like a bunch of people's fingers.
You put the movie back in, pop it back in place, and then put that bad boy back in the red box.
You try to put it in
So
backwards.
There's a red
satisfying
box
about
down the
Redbox.
road.
Try to put it in backwards, and it would be like,
I think COVID killed Redbox.
There's still red box at the 7-Eleven down there.
But COVID killed it. Nobody wants to touch
You
it.
guys want to go ransack Redbox?
No, because
No.
you'll rent one and then you'll never return it, and
Yeah, that's the point.
So
You put it on a credit card that's dead.
I think one of the biggest movie making things is movie theaters.
Yeah.
But even those we're seeing a decline in.
Some-
right now,
yes,
specifically.
yes.
Right now, specifically, because there's no good movies that people want to see.
I think theaters will catch up and be as big as they once were, but it has to be more of an
They'll
experience.
catch up. Well,
It has to be a better experience, and I'm sorry, just reclining chairs is not good enough.
the movie theater experience is just fine.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's just
No,
watching
you're
it like
lying to
at home,
yourself.
but you have to sit around people,
No,
and
you're-
people are like have crying babies.
No, you're lying
You could
to
do the
yourself.
same thing at home with a freaking big
No,
screen,
you
70
can't
inch.
experience IMAX at home.
No.
No, you can't. You could if you invested the money. You could, yes.
but we're not all doing that. Listen.
I don't think people care about it.
It's
enough.
not the movie theater's fault that they're dying. It is the movie's fault that they're dying. What good did we get this year
To go to see
Maverick.
the theater?
to go to see?
Maverick.
That's it.
Spider-Man?
That was last year.
Was that last year?
Yeah.
That was last year. This November last year. No, December last year.
Yep.
Sheesh. My timeline's all off. Yeah. Avatar, maybe.
We'll see. But I mean,
no,
in theory,
people are going to see
Yeah.
Avatar.
Movie theaters are replaying old movies.
yeah, they replayed Avatar 20.
Yeah.
They're having
two.
they were playing Lord of the Rings when the Rings of Power was coming out. They've been playing older movies in movie theaters to just to keep them running.
It's like, hey, we know this hasn't been in movie theaters for
It's
dang
'cause
near 15
nothing
years.
is coming out. I mean,
Would you like to come see Lord of the Rings?
nobody's going to see any of the new movies not because they don't want to go to the movies, but because the movie is trash. What was the one that just came out with all the controversy around it?
A little
Love and
Mermaid.
Thunder?
Bros.
What?
Bros?
I don't know what
I
that
didn't
is.
even
Y'all
hear
didn't-
about that.
Yeah, you saw the trailers in the movie theater just like I did. No, please don't look at it.
I just want to Google an image.
It
so I
was
know what you're talking about.
it was the rom-com movie. It was
Yes.
the gay rom-com
yes,
movie.
the gay ones, the gay
for
men's.
gaymans.
Yeah.
With Billy Eichner.
Yes.
Eichner posted on Twitter, he's like, the movie is failing because straight people aren't coming to see it. I'm being
Are we talking about the dude who played Timon?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
The
being
guy that goes on the street.
Yeah.
He's like, you know who this is?
right. I'm paraphrasing here, but that's what essentially he's saying. But that's not the issue. Gay people didn't go see it either. Nobody went to see it because the trailer was trash. And frankly, I'm sure the movie was probably trash. They didn't market it towards anybody but gay people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, you can't market a niche movie to a niche group and then get mad when it doesn't make blockbuster money.
Correct.
Right?
If they just spend like 2 or 3 years on YouTube, like giving YouTube a serious go, they would learn that. We've learned that. Just our time on YouTube. You can't niche up hardcore and expect a big audience.
Even in the movie trailer.
You can expect a loyal audience.
Even in the movie trailer, I was listening to somebody talk about this today. They said at the end of the movie trailer, they say, remember straight people? Yeah, they had a good run. It's like clearly they weren't marketing it to straight people.
No.
Yeah, and it's
right?
like we're sitting there like, I guess I'm not gonna spend any of my money.
I was like, well, I'm straight. I don't necessarily I don't feel any need to go watch this movie because they are making it clear in the trailer that it's not for me. It is for
Not
gay
me.
people.
Yeah.
Because it's a rom-com about two gay men. That's the movie. So him saying that people are being homophobic about not going to see the movie, and then I've seen people taking pictures in the movie theaters like it's like this. I guess all the people who would be here are homophobic. Empty movie theaters for this showing of this movie.
Well,
like I don't know.
well,
That's,
first,
and I'm using that as an example of that's what's being made today.
Yeah.
Niche movies for
Yeah.
niche markets that they're expecting broad audiences to go enjoy, but we're not. People are tired of the Marvel movies. They're tired of the superhero movies. People are tired of Disney live action movies. Nobody wants to see whatever new Star Wars thing is being put out since
reboots and prequels.
The Last Jedi. It's reboots, redos, and sequels.
I think I don't know if there has been a complete dud year in a while. There's usually one or two that's worth seeing in the theater, but you really have to be paying close attention because you're gonna have to really filter through some trash.
I would even say that
recognize it.
2020 wasn't a dud year.
What was coming out in 2020, dude?
2020 we couldn't watch anything in theaters. That was right when the pandemic
But
hit.
it wasn't a dud year for entertainment. People were finding stuff. Y'all remember the Tiger King?
Oh, but dude, that was
all streaming.
That was
stuff.
lightning in a
It was all
bottle.
streaming
And that was
stuff.
made before COVID.
That was lightning in a bottle, dude.
What we're seeing now, I think, is stuff that was made during COVID. You know?
Yeah. Okay, something that was made like before COVID and kind of during the process. What I'm looking forward to is the new Mission Impossible film.
Okay.
It was before COVID, and then during COVID they kept going on production because remember we got that outbreak, not the outbreak. We got that
screaming
angry
of
Tom
Tom
Cruise
Cruise,
on the set of that, and that trailer looks wild.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then another film that was delayed, this was actually really good.
Maverick.
You guys haven't seen it. Not just Maverick.
Maverick was delayed a lot.
Yes, it was delayed a lot.
Delayed
But
3 years.
another film that was delayed almost the same amount was No Time to Die. That was a really good movie too. A lot of people are like, it's not as good as Skyfall. Skyfall's hard to beat, honestly. But No Time to Die was awesome.
I heard a lot of people really enjoyed Spectre, even though it was slow. It was a slow James Bond movie.
I'm kind of wondering if I accidentally missed Spectre.
I think
It's on Netflix right now.
I've missed everything after Skyfall. I haven't seen any of them. I think there's like 3.
There's Skyfall, probably Spectre, and then No Time to Die.
Yeah.
And then you have Quantum Solace and Casino Royale before Skyfall.
Okay.
Skyfall's number 3.
Okay, so I have seen Skyfall. All right, then I've only missed the last 2.
Yep.
But I think I only missed Spectre. I think that's the only one
But
I
I've
missed.
also missed the last couple Mission Impossible movies.
Now you got to get on that, dog. Mission Impossible is always a good
I
time.
saw the one with Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
That was 2 ago, right? That was 2 of them ago?
Because I didn't see the one where he's hanging on the plane.
Hanging off the plane.
No.
That's Henry
That was
Cavill.
one ago.
Is that Henry Cavill?
Yeah, that's the Henry Cavill one.
Are you sure?
Pretty darn.
Yeah, that's one ago.
One ago. So you just didn't see the last one.
Okay. I saw the Henry Cavill one. That I know.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Before we move on, let's real quickly wrap up. What do you think is the absolute future if you're going to make money in, I don't know, 2 of these? What's going to be the most
Streaming
successful?
service.
They have to do streaming, but streaming isn't making as much money as movie theaters or anything else. They have to do something.
I think streaming's going to be making more money than theaters because
yeah.
it's not splitting up costs too much. It's just licensing.
I don't think we have an exact science for streaming because some people are releasing weekly. Some people are putting out, 3 episodes of a 9-episode series every couple weeks.
Netflix is still dropping everything at once.
Sometimes is dropping everything at once.
Majority everything at once. Sometimes they drop half of it, like with Ozark or Stranger Things season 4.
The real question is though, before streaming, how often are we going to theaters? More than twice a month?
No, we're talking 2-3 times a year, dude.
No, before streaming.
Before streaming?
Yeah.
Maybe like once every month and a half.
Yeah, every so often.
Once a month, once every month and a half.
About a ticket is about what it costs to subscribe to a streaming service.
True.
So
you get so much more.
True, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's not necessarily the money making part. I feel like they're gonna make the money. It's the figuring out how to make the shows work consistently because Disney doesn't seem to have figured it out.
Well, I agree with you, but if I'm going to say which of these 3 is going to be hitting the hardest, still product placement, because we've seen that world leak into YouTube, which is still big money. Product placement's big. That kind of ties in with
product placement in Star Wars.
Dude, I don't know yet. But you compensate with Star Wars with something like merch, which merch works still. And then obviously streaming. And streaming has to figure itself out.
Has to be streaming.
But hard copy sales not as popular. Domestic and foreign theaters, it makes money, but honestly down the road your biggest money is going to be the long-term like merch and streaming licensing sales that you're going to do. That's going to
That's the other thing that's killing the modern movie is making it for round the world audiences.
Yeah, we got
because they're having to put stuff into the movie that they can easily cut out, and that's adding boring and non-essential stuff to the movie, and so you come out of the movie being like, well, that was boring and non-essential. And then it's stuff they can easily just cut out. Like if you want characters to be gay, they're not going to have a conversation that has a great deal to do with the plot, because you can just cut out their conversation and the plot can still go on, and you can release it to Chinese audiences. It's giving somebody something in one hand and giving somebody something else in the other. Making money on both sides, and it's
if the internet's teaching us anything, it's across the board for every industry. You can't have the best of both worlds. You got
to pick something.
You got to pick something. Absolutely, or you're going to go nowhere and you're not going to please anybody. Before we get to our monsters, I just want to quickly just point out, we don't have to get too deep since we're going a little longer here. But this guy, Spawn.
I forgot about
They just announced a movie. Apparently, the writer of the comic, he's not Marvel or DC. He's a standalone. But the interesting thing about Spawn is the artist or the creator, whose name is Todd McFarlane. He used to work at Marvel.
Is he?
And he left over creative differences with a little character that you might recognize, Venom.
Yeah.
Spawn is a character who has a suit that controls him, similar to Venom. But he's a standalone character, a standalone anti-hero, and it seems like we're going to get a movie.
Wait, he's not a DC character?
No.
I thought he was DC.
No, there are, I believe, some characters in his comics that those characters have been bought by like Marvel.
Oh, okay.
So he's not officially in Marvel, but some characters in his comics have converted and been sold into Marvel. But no, he's still standalone, and they're doing a standalone movie for Spawn. Now, he seems like a really interesting anti-hero, but it's yet again another anti-hero.
I know a little bit about Spawn.
Okay, what do you know
Before you
about
go into it, I'm just going to give you what I know briefly.
I don't know anything. I just pull up articles, so I don't have to remember it.
He's a guy. I don't remember if he's a cop or what. I think he's a cop or a reporter or something. and his family gets killed, and he gets killed. And then I think he makes a deal with Satan
Something like
or
that.
a demon.
Yeah.
And is brought back to life as Spawn.
Therefore, the name Spawn, like Spawn of Satan.
And respawn. Yeah.
So he
And
makes,
respawn. Yeah.
So he makes a deal to see his wife one last time.
Yeah.
Look at that crotch skull.
Oh, sick.
It's a cup protector made out of a skull. Maybe it looks kind of like a demon skull.
You can really see the venom.
Yeah, the Venom
in
inspiration,
order to
with
definitely.
the
human
the
world
white eyes.
from the apocalyptic wars.
One thing I did want to bring up is they announced the character actor for the film, even though they're still in development. They're not in pre-production yet. Apparently, they confirmed Jamie Foxx is still on board to play him.
Okay, cool.
Jamie Foxx is coming back into a superhero role.
Very cool. I kind of wish they would get younger actors to be playing superhero roles.
Yeah.
But Jamie Foxx is talented.
He's good, but younger actors can do stunts and things that older actors cannot.
True.
So, it's like it's the same thing with the Blade thing, which is a whole other story.
We'll get on Blade in another episode.
The actors that they're choosing, and another black main character. So it's good to see a little bit more representation, I guess. Spawn and Blade are like some of the coolest.
Yeah.
Right.
And both, but birthed as black characters, not
black
repurposed
not
into black
repurposed, originally
characters.
black characters. Jamie Foxx, the gentleman who's playing Blade as well. They're both kind of old.
Yeah, but they can still kick it. We'll just have to wait and see. This is not the overlords of Marvel and DC are not going to be producing this, right?
No.
There is.
So I'm curious to see what it's going to be like.
I'm pretty sure there's an HBO cartoon.
Yeah.
Like it's like 3 episodes or 8 episodes
I don't
or
know.
something.
and it's
never
what
seen it.
inspired that 90s
It's like a
film.
graphic.
Was it 90s that it came out? There was a movie came out because the HBO.
I have seen bits and pieces of the movie. It's terrible.
Yeah, the trailer looks rough.
The end scene in hell. Actually, I think there's a couple scenes in hell. Are some of the worst visual
Animation.
effects and animation on
You've
the
ever seen.
planet. We're talking like polygons of fire.
The writers that they got for this new film that they're in development for is Scott Silver. He wrote on The Joker.
Okay.
Malcolm Spellman. He wrote on Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then Matthew Mix. Now writing the script. I don't know who Matthew Mix wrote, but whatever. As far as this character, I'm honestly, I don't think we have time to jump into this, and I haven't read through all this, so
Yeah.
you're pretty close. He's in the anti-hero world mixed with heaven and hell world,
Right,
mixed with fighting monsters and creatures and demons kind of thing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's going to be the vibe of this.
Wait, hold on. Go back down. I wanted to murdered. He was murdered during a mission in Botswana. Blah, 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 blah. Simmons was sent to hell because of his life as an assassin. After arranging a deal with the being known as Melbalgia, Simmons agrees to become a hell spawn in exchange for being allowed to see his wife, Wanda Blake, one last time. He goes after the KKK.
You guys want to watch the old trailer?
I do
remember.
remember.
I don't have audio, so we can't watch it.
I do remember the cape.
Oh.
The way
Who
the
is
cape.
that?
Probably Satan.
It's a demon that I think is like supposed to be checking up on him every now and then. There's some
What the
animation that
heck?
happens with his cape that is
Yeah.
pretty unbelievably sick in the movie.
So this is like on par with, with like Daredevil and
The superhero, yeah. Oh, you're thinking the Ben Affleck
the
one.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
And,
It's I would say it's honestly it's on the same playing field as Daredevil, a step below Blade.
And the Punisher.
Yeah. Yeah, Blade and the Punisher are much better than this movie.
I think I'm gonna have a good time comparing this to like Venom, or just comparing it to any anti-hero story. Which, by the way, we're getting a lot of anti-hero stuff. Don't know why everyone's obsessed with like a hero, but also a bad boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I
Like-
keep feeling we're getting.
I guess they
Like
just,
a troubled hero.
I want to do hood rat stuff with my friends. That's the character we want to see, right? I mean, Deadpool. That's the character people want to see.
Yeah, that's true. But Deadpool's different than Morbius.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Morbius.
Yeah. All right, listen. Keep your eyes out for Spawn. We will, certainly, as we get more information. We need to pit monsters so we can move on.
Yeah, so we can get out of here.
All right. Either of you want to introduce?
No, just go.
I hit a deep cut on this one.
Deep cut.
Just go to the slide. Oh.
Okay, so Joshua, what is this? What is this called? I keep for the bantha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not. What is it?
It's a Snorlax.
A Snorlax from Star Wars. It is the creature that is Jabba the Hutt's pet. All right, versus Monster House.
I was thinking, what? I remembered there was like there was something. I think
I should have picked the pit. That would have been perfect.
Mine's mobile.
I was gonna pick the pit.
The pit is not mobile though, so the Monster House could
have just run away.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there on my lunch break thinking, there was this image in my head, and it was of like something, its mouth opening with like goo, and I remember it was something from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, and I was like, wait a second, that's just a sandwich. That's not even a monster. But it reminded me of
Monster House.
the Monster House, and I was like,
Maybe so.
yeah.
Now
Let's
this
go
is a
with
deep cut.
I said, I don't care.
Joshua, hold on. How are you feeling? Because this is your.
It's not gonna beat that Monster House because the Monster
do you
House
know?
is gonna be better than that.
But we don't know that.
I don't know.
What is the skills of Monster House?
Monster House, I don't know. I guess it was
It's not crazy quick. It's not very mobile.
not very fast, but it is big.
I mean, the only thing this thing's gonna do is just
Hold
come
on.
and just start like knocking everything
Yeah.
the house
In
down.
theory, it
In
can start
theory,
ripping
it
it
could
up.
just start ripping it up.
Now, the scariest thing about Monster House is being on the inside.
Yeah, and the rank, it's not
Not
like
gonna go
It's not going to
inside.
swallow
it's
that
gonna
up.
be like it's gonna be crashing through. I think.
the Rancor beat it.
Listen, the Rancor was beat by a door.
But a heavy door.
Before
a heavy door. And
before we move further
the
with
craftiness, the cleverness of a Jedi.
before we move further with theories, the Rancor was beat by a door.
A big freaking door.
It wasn't that big.
It was humongous.
Okay.
And also, Luke was.
Yeah, it was sharp door.
It was a sharp door.
I
A sharp,
think
heavy
the
door.
speed and ferociousness of the Monster House, I think it's a little bit more powerful than a door. But I think the Rancor in an open space, toe to toe with the Monster House.
We saw a more realistic Rancor from Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. I mean,
which moves the way it probably should move, not this giant puppet like in episode
Rancor can
6.
throw things.
Yeah,
Rancor can throw things at the Monster House. So there's that.
I'm going Rancor.
Monster House
'cause it's
got
mine.
that tongue,
that tongue.
that'll wrap
Yeah.
around your neck
That
and try to
tongue.
swallow you up.
And based on y'all's logic, if it has something that can wrap around your neck and choke you, it automatically wins.
Shut up.
What?
Right?
you know.
If it can choke you, it automatically wins.
Yeah, but not really.
Huh?
Not really.
I don't
Freaking-
remember this.
He's
Did we
talking
talk
about
last-
Randall.
Talking about Randall.
Oh,
It's not just choking out; it's also disappearability
This can
and
disguise
choking
itself
out
as a house.
as a freaking house.
Yeah, I think the Rancor would see this monster
He'd be like, "Anybody home?"
and then I think he'd see this monster and then the house would just become a house and he'd be like, what?
And he'd be inside. He'd be like, "What happened?"
He's not going inside that house. We're gonna be way too big.
That
I'm
house
gonna be
can
honest.
rip his mouth apart.
I'm going to be honest. I would call this a tie.
A tie? No, we gotta at least flip
This
a
thing
coin
has
over it.
tree arms.
I'm gonna be honest.
And this thing.
I'm voting Rancor. I think
Yeah?
he's. I
I'm
think
voting
he's.
Rancor.
you think
That's
he
two
could do
against
it?
one then. That's 2 against
You
1.
really think he could do it? Look at the teeth on that thing.
I've seen both movies.
I think the Monster House is more ferocious,
No,
but I
it's-
think it's more easily breakable. but it also has tree
Children
arms.
defeated this.
Yeah, let's go back to your rules.
But they had to use fire.
A shovel from a house.
He's got
a shovel in the south. A little boy with a shovel in the south beat my monster. Children beat.
Wrong. You know what? They used construction equipment. They used fire. And ultimately, they used an old man who said, please, just chill out. Calm down. It's over.
I love you.
I love you. That love finished the monster house. This is literally a spirit that cannot be killed.
But it can definitely be suppressed. And I think
I'm gonna let this go up to you because I'm gonna pick the Rancor. He's gonna pick.
I would actually be perfectly fine calling this a tie.
No, we're not
because
calling it
I
a
think
tie.
the monster house.
We
I think the monster house is more.
You pick, Joseph.
I think the monster house is more ferocious
You pick.
and heavier
Look,
than the Rancor.
I don't disagree with you, but I have the problem with the Rancor. It gets a bad rap because it's always in scenes where we see it get defeated. All right,
But even in the scenes in Boba Fett where we're seeing it move, Monster House is quicker.
no.
Monster House is mean.
Rancor, what we saw in Boba Fett that we didn't see in Star Wars, the Rancor can climb and jump like freaking King Kong.
Monster House is a better monster.
Rancor is the King Kong of the Star Wars universe.
Monster House is a literal monster.
So is the Rancor.
I'm just
He's
saying.
a monster too.
I think it's a tie because I don't think the Rancor would just straight up win. I think they would probably kill each other.
Here's the thing.
I think the
Two Rancors
here's how
got the Monster House.
Here's how two Monster House have the Rancor. What kind of math is this?
I don't know.
Here's how I see it going down. Rancor comes in, right? Tosses a rock.
Yeah.
Monster House blocks the rock with one of its trees. Tree gets busted at the shoulder and kind of comes off. Monster House is still moving. It's attacking with its tongue and its mouth. It gets its tongue around the Rancor's legs, trips it up. Monster House comes in with the big teeth, wraps its teeth around the Rancor. Many of the teeth break because they're wooden. Many of the teeth pierce because they're wooden.
The slivers.
And it kind of pulls the Rancor in. The Rancor's inside now, but he starts getting up and starts crashing through the Monster House. Breaking beams, crushing stuff.
Just climbs
Right.
out the top of it, pierces a hole through.
No. Monster's still moving at this point.
Look,
it's still... Hold on. Wait, I'm almost done. I think the Rancor takes out most primary supports, destroys the majority of the house so it can't move anymore. And then the house falls on the Rancor. And as we know, Rancor, their one weakness is things falling on them. So Rancor dies, Monster House dies. I call it a tie. You tell me how it would go down any different.
I don't feel like we ever decided on rules that we can call something a tie.
I think that's a pretty
At
good
this point,
scenario.
I'm calling it a tie because I
think
there's
this-
no way of defining this.
Rules for ties, all right? At some point, one of these monsters have to show up again later in the season. Because we can't just tie out a monster and void them out. We have to freaking say, something's got to beat one of these monsters. Or that one of these monsters have to beat something else. You can't just leave these empty. These are quality monsters. They deserve a win or a loss.
All right, my last argument. It ain't over till the fat lady sings. Monster House is a fat lady.
Yeah.
And until she sings, it ain't over. I got the win, I feel like.
But I feel like you're relying on spirituality.
I think I truly do believe it would be a tie. I don't see the Rancor outright winning. I don't see the house outright winning.
All right, we're calling it a tie. I reserve the right to bring either of these monsters back in for later episodes.
He's going to bring it next episode.
My other argument is one of them has the name Monster in its name. Monster.
Come on, man. These are
That's my
rough
last
arguments.
Hail Mary.
We're calling it a tie. We're doing it live.
We can come back to that argument, I think.
Probably. Maybe in the Midnight Special.
Why are we
Maybe
doing
when we
it
come-
live?
Maybe when we do all of the monsters.
It's a little foreshadowing. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you sticking with us through our low energy. We hope your Monday goes awesomely. Thank you so much for being here with us. Once again, if you're interested in the Patreon, please support us. It would be super cool of you to do so. Super cool. We love you. And we'll see you on Friday for the Midnight Special at 10 p.m. You'll hear us in your ears. Have a good rest of your week. Until the weekend. Adios. Should we talk about that on the Midnight Special, though? The Rancor versus the House?
No.
We can touch
Can we
on it.
parlay it?
We can touch on it.
Just
Yeah.
just kick it down the road.
We'll kick it a little
Kick the
bit.
can down the road and pick it up
Yeah.
further down the road. We could do it that way.
Maybe.
You feeling any better? You ready to record a Midnight Special?
Yeah, we're gonna record, but I feel fine. It's like my head's very foggy right now, though.
All right.
The headache's gone. I have a stomach ache.